Hello everybody, my name is
And
Roxtus,
I'm
and
Soulgale.
welcome back to Warframe.
Woo!
Mag How To. So, Mag was actually my first starting Warframe in the entire Warframe,
Yeah.
and she is the easiest to get a hold of. That's the interesting thing to me is it's the easiest boss, it's the easiest location. She's the easiest one to be able to get a hold of, and she is currently probably the best Warframe in the game. So we're going to go
I,
ahead and just start off right away with her
uh,
abilities.
I started off with Excalibur.
You start off with these kind of guys. They're both pretty good.
Yep.
So for passive, nearby items gravitate toward mag for easily collection. This used to be actually, I believe, a bullet dash that you had to bullet dash to pull items near to you. But now this is just a passive where it just automatically pulls items in towards you.
Which
This
is
is
nice.
this is basically the same thing as vacuum on any of your sentinels. But the problem is I don't know if this passive is really useful on her because all of the sentinels can equip vacuum, and vacuum is actually 3.5 meters larger in radius than her passive. So I don't know really why she has such a pretty poor passive, especially when all the sentinels can already equip it and other MOAs or other creatures can equip it. So I don't know why that is what it is, but I wish it was
Uh,
just a little bit better than just being basically a vacuum.
yeah.
Pole Mag stuns enemies and she manifests a magnetic vortex. The vortex pulls in polarized shards and stuns enemies and places them directly in front of her. This is just a pull, it just pulls them in front of her. This is actually really, really good. And the number one reason why is that you do not have to kite to get to things. You can just pull everything within melee range and you can kill them all at once. It's probably the best ability that I've actually seen of anything. It's very simple in its design. It's just you pull things towards you, but it's the most effective because you can just, instead of having to run up to every single unit and having to melee every unit comes towards you. You don't have to go toward them. They come towards you. So it's probably the most efficient one right there. Magnetize, you go ahead and tap to enclose a target in a magnetic field, and it pulls all the enemies toward the epicenter of that field. And you can hold it, and when you're holding that ability, you're pulling all the projectiles towards you into a little small bubble, and then you can rebound all those projectiles back toward the enemy. Drains 50, duration's 15 seconds, explosion radius is 15. Some damage there. If you have a targeted where you target a unit, it has a radius of 4 meters. The damage is multiplied by 2.9 times for your projectiles in that bubble. The damage absorption, which is just absorbed damage over time from all the enemies or yourself firing that bubble, is 25%. And that is actually tick damage, which will tick over time in that ability. So it'll just passively just tick, 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 and it'll deal damage per second, I believe it is. Protective, when you're holding the ability, its angle is 120 degrees in front of you. It's not 180, it's 120. Absorb per second is 36.25 blast damage, so it automatically racks up that damage on the absorption. The absorption multiplier is 2.9 times, just the same as if you were targeting a target. And the shrapnel damage is from polarized shards, which does 725 or 500 at the base. So the first value is the base damage, and the secondary value is the modded damage on this build. So same thing with pull. I forgot this one. Drain is 25, range is 25, which range on this is huge. It's very large. You can be out on plains of Eidolon, anywhere else, and you're able to pull up everything out on the field towards you, which is huge.
Yeah.
Polarize. Emit a EMP pulse, a magnetic pulse that depletes enemy shields and armor. This is the thing I don't get about Polarize. It says it depletes shields and armor. I do believe it depletes some shields and armor, but it doesn't deplete all shields and armor. So when it says it depletes shields and armor, it doesn't fully deplete. It might take some away from the targets, but not all. As it restores ally shields, debris left over from the pulse become polarized shards. So as soon as it hits those enemies, it basically makes polarized shards, and they orbit mag, cut enemies, inflicting bleed status effect. So drain 75, radius is 8 meters, the full range of the ability. Damage is 400 on a base. Duration is 5 seconds, and damage multiplier is 2.5 times. For the polarized shards, I'm guessing here because I really haven't read into the ability all that much. But the interesting thing that I do know is that the radius and the duration multiply into each other for the actual range. So the duration is basically the waves when the wave is starting from the epicenter to the outside perimeter. The wave starts from 0, 0 and ends at 5 seconds on the exterior of the wave from you going outward. And then the radius is multiplied by duration for that same math. So if you're actually going off of the duration here, it's the radius divided by the duration, which is 5 seconds. So it's actually 1 meter, I believe. One and math. 1.6 meters per second. So if you extend the duration, it'll actually multiply the radius through that. So if you have a radius of 8 and instead of your duration of being 5, it was 10. Instead of having a radius of 8, now you're going to have a radius of 18. Same thing with radius. You could just up the radius instead of having it at 8 meters, have it at 10 meters, and the duration is still 5. You'd have 50, or actually 10 meters, but then if you doubled the duration from there, it would be at 10 seconds duration. It would be at, wow. Yeah, I'm not sure what the math is on that, but the duration and the radius are both multiplied to each other. It's a little bit more of a complicated one, but I would have to do a little bit more math on that one. I really don't use polarize all that often, so it's just one that kind of just sits there and I just don't use it. Crush. Magnetize the bone of the enemies, causing them to collapse on top of themselves. Drain is 100, radius is 18 meters, damage is 500, and magnetized damage is 500 again. Shields per hit, I believe it just drains your shields per hit, or no, it restores shields per hit of 25. So there's that. We're going to go ahead and take a look off at first. Prime Sure-Footed. Prime Sure-Footed, as again, if you went back and you saw the Trinity video, is a very good one for just making sure that you don't get knocked down. Fracturing Crush, we're going to start off with her augment here. Crush augment, Crush gains 50% casting speed. So this is really good because instead of standing there and having to cast the entire duration of the spell, it quickly casts it, which is really, really nice. The armor of enemies decreases by 75%, so you only need 34% to be able to get up to 100% armor strip with this Fracturing Crush, and they are unable to move for 7 seconds. That's not true, because even with Fracturing Crush, and it says they are unable to move for 7 seconds, they will still move. So I don't know why that's written to the ability, but that's completely not true. And we will actually do some playtesting with that as well. Steel Charge. Squad receives add 60 melee damage. I love the melee damage off of this. This is really, really good.
Yeah.
And then we go in for the mods. We're going to add in full on range. We're going to go for the full range of the ability. Keep in mind, we need to add in 34% power strength to be able to pull this back up to 100%. But we're going full range because she's really good at just AoE, area of effect damage. She can just hit the entire map with her abilities, which is really, really good. So we're going to have to add in 94% added bonus power strength. And how we're going to do that is we're going to get Umbral Intensify plus 55% with Umbral Vitality. As a set mod, this goes from 44% to 55%. You get a little bit more health, so you're not taking any much so toxin damage or dying by that. We're going to add in Primed Flow for a more maximum battery, so we are not running out of energy. Primed Continuancy for a little bit more ability duration. When we're using Fracturing Crush, we want to make sure that that lasts for a good duration, as well as Magnetize. We want to keep that up for around, I believe it's 10 seconds, 15 seconds, so that you can be able to use your sniper or Snipertron or whatever other weapon you're going to use on that. That is a very good ability as well. And we're going to also use Fleeting Expertise to basically make sure that our abilities are spammable, because at this point, this is a very good build for just going any mission, and it's very fast for clearing any mission. It's probably my number one go-to for any mission, whether it be regardless of what level it is. It's pretty good, except for if you get to, I would have to say, levels 60 and above, it starts getting more difficult, but it's still really, really useful. With Fleeting Expertise, we are going to negate 50% ability duration, but we're going to be adding that back with our Primed Continuancy. So if you've been wondering, okay, well, this is only 55%, but we need to add another 94% ability strength back, so we're left with 39% ability strength that we need to add on back. That's where our Tau shards come into. So each of these is adding 15%. We're actually adding on 30, 45% ability strength. So we add 6% extra above the value that we need, which is 39%. So we've got 6% extra coming back. And then with the rest of the 2 Amber Shards, we are going to be adding on casting speed. This is making the rest of her abilities come back very quickly, so you can just spam, again, all of the abilities. And as this is a regular run, we are actually using Golden Instinct. If you're going to do regular runs, most of the time you want to go into a map and make sure that there's nothing that you've missed. This is excellent for making sure that if there's any crates, if there's any Ayatan treasures, any stars, and you don't want to miss those, this is a very good build because you have so much range. Adding Golden Instinct in, you clear the rooms very quickly of enemies, and you can easily, quickly find those golden treasures. That's the number one build here for Mag. We're going to use also Energize and Guardian for 75% damage reduction just with the armor alone. And we're going to use Arcane Energize to get a whole bunch of energy back over time. We're going to also swap up and we're going to use my Lanka, because this is a very good weapon for just those bubbles. These bubbles are going to be very, very good for killing people very quickly. All right, well, I think that's all that we need to say for the build. Let's go ahead and test her out.
All right. I need a room to place my Riven mod on my Lanka.
Your Lanka.
My Lanka.
All right, and we're gonna go ahead and hit Mott again.
All right. I just mostly like to melee things.
Melee is very good.
And for me, I never even used to play Mag until recently.
So for the Lanka, you can zoom in. This does give more critical chance. It's not too much different, but I love Mag. Very, very good.
Yeah.
The area is barren, so we are not actually seeing anything on the map that is necessary or needed. So underneath my abilities on the bottom right hand corner, you can see area is barren pops up because I'm actually pressing the ability. The ability is registering that there is nothing actually on the map that's actually interesting for me to find. So For that case, area is barren, nothing for me to worry about. If I'm running 100 missions, something like that, I'll be able to press the button every single time. I'll be able to make sure that, hey, there's nothing on the map that I'm missing or that I'm missing out on. So that's super nice for me. Pull gets everyone into a group. You don't have to worry about it. Gets rid of all the enemies. Very useful. And +2 for the combo multiplier. It gets your combo multiplier up quicker because everyone's stacked in one area, and you can get your combo count back up really, really quickly. Mag is just such a joy to work with.
I started playing like Trinity a whole bunch, and then I started going to Mag, and then I'm like, ooh, I like Mag.
Oh yeah. Very quick though. And this, the projectile will actually stay within the bubble if you get a good clear area. I love this. I don't really use her magnetize all that much though.
No.
Oh yeah, but there is a clean shot right there. So you can see there's tick damage over time and the projectile.
Tick damage.
And the Lanka is probably the best weapon if you're going to be using magnetize. There are going to be a few other weapons, but the Lanka, the main reason why is it's the weapon that has the highest punch through. And punch through is allowing the projectile to go through multiple bodies. And that's why it's super useful here.
Gotta love that tick damage.
Oh yeah. The tick damage is okay, but
It's kind of okay.
the main damage that you're looking at is from the projectile. Because it just goes through multiple bodies. Most other weapons, they will stop on the first body, and this is only one projectile going through. And it is winging around inside of that bubble. So it will continue to punch through multiple bodies until it'll finally stop.
I love her fracturing crush.
And then when the bubble explodes, it's like it just did there. It'll kill everything else that's in the area. And that is pretty cool to see that projectile just kind of orbiting in that little bubble.
I love how fracturing crush just strips all their armor.
Oh yeah. And if you're wondering why the projectile actually disappears there, it's because the projectile hits a wall and or it can hit an object. And from that, the bullet will actually register that it hit an object and it'll die. But yeah. I just gotta say though, from the start of the game till now, she has probably been my favorite Warframe. Because everything else has been so inconsistent. And she's the one thing that I really like. I don't even think the rework changed her too much. So she's pretty much still the same since release. Right. Still nothing on the map.
Yeah. I'm getting it too. We go.
And another thing to remember too is that once you press the ability, it scans a huge area. It is scanning like 5 rooms down the hall. So even from here, it's probably actually still registering the beginning area of where we started. So it's registering all the way back there till now. Even being over here. Because the range is so far. But yes, this is the main build for Mag and the main Warframe that I would use for pretty much 99% of my runs, 95%. Yes. Well, I believe that is everything that we have for Mag. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, is that all the time we have for this episode?
Unfortunately, yes.
And we will see you guys in the very next video. Bye-bye!
Bye-bye!